Hi guys, and welcome back for our third class. This week we are on week 3 and we're going to be talking about communities. Now, importantly, what we're going to be talking about is how do people from different cultures all contribute to a community? Making a contribution. David is sharing his culture with the people in his community. Learning about different cultures is important. Different cultures make a community more interesting. Communities grow when people share their cultures. Now, living in China, there are not many different cultures that live in your country unless you are in a big city like Shanghai or Guangzhou or maybe even Beijing. But in many other countries in the world, there are very different cultures that live all in one place. So they kind of have to think about how can all of the cultures that live together get along and how can they each contribute to society. So looking at our vocabulary for today, our first word we have is admires. Now, if you admire something, it means that you regard someone or something with respect or good feelings. My family admires my good test grades. Next, we have classmate. Now, a classmate is someone that you go to school with, right? Who is in your same class. This could be in kindergarten or in college or high school. Don and his classmate Maria always eat lunch together. Community. Now, a community is a group of people who live in the same place or they live in the same area and they share a lot of things in common. Many people in my community work together. Next, we have contribute. Now, if you contribute something, it means that you are going to give. You're either going to give something or give money in order to help people or to contribute. Mom will contribute clothes to people who can help them. Next, we have practicing. Now, practicing is when you are actually doing something. So if I'm playing the piano, I'm practicing the piano. I'm doing something over and over again to get better at it. Kyle has been practicing and now he can play lots of songs. Pronounce. Now, if I pronounce something, it means that I'm making a sound, okay? A part of a word, and if I pronounce it, we want to pronounce something correctly, right? So I've said something correctly. Cindy can pronounce her name in another language. Next, we have scared. Now, if you're scared, it means that you're really afraid or you're really fearful of something. Our dog hides during storms because he is scared. Next, we have tumbled. Now, if you tumble, it means that you fall suddenly, and usually your head goes first. So maybe you take a fall very quickly. The ripe tomatoes tumbled out of the big basket onto the ground. All right, now that brings us to our story today. Now, our story is called a narrative nonfiction. And what this means that this is an autobiography. Nonfiction means that it is a true story. So the person who is writing the story, it is about her life. So it's telling the true story of a person's life. And usually when this happens, the person is using the words I and the words me when they are telling the story. The title of our story is called Room to Grow. Very good. And the thing that we want to be thinking about as we read our story today is, how do people from different cultures contribute to a community? So we're going to be reading about how one family helps their community grow. Spring in the city. My name is Kiku Sato. Last spring, my family and I moved from the country to the big city. Our new home in Portland had no yard. There wasn't even a tiny plot of land. So Mama made an indoor garden. First, she and Papa planted seeds in pots. Then they hung them from hooks. Next, they crammed plants onto shelves. Green vines tumbled over desks. Soon our house had plants everywhere. At first, I was scared to start school. I was afraid no one would be my friend. But I soon met a classmate. Jill Hernandez and I were practicing reading aloud one day. She helped me say her last name, and I helped her pronounce mine. The next day, we were best friends. Jill spent lots of time at my house. Okay, so who are we introduced to so far in this story? Who are the characters? Okay, awesome. So we have Kiku, Sato. We've got her mother. We've got her father. And we also have Jill Hernandez, who is her new friend. Now, what is the setting of the story? All right, awesome. So they are in a place called Oregon, and specifically, they have moved to a town called Portland, Oregon. An idea for a garden. One afternoon, Jill and her mother came to visit Mama and Papa and me. First, they saw our beautiful potted plants. Jill's mother said, "Jill admires your indoor garden. She has told me so much about it." We all sat down while Mama served tea. First, she put green tea into the bowl. Then she added hot water and stirred. She handed the bowl to Jill's mother and bowed. Now, this is Mama's special tea bowls. Now, do you know what kind of tea this is? Yes, this is matcha. Very good. And do you know what country they drink a lot of matcha? Japan. Absolutely. Very good. Now, what does Jill admire on this page? Her indoor garden. Very good. My mother taught me how to make tea, said Mama. She also taught me how to plant a traditional Japanese garden. I learned to make the most of a small, compact space. All of a sudden, Jill's mother smiled. "Can you help us with the project?" she asked. "Our community wants to plant a garden. Our plot is very small. There is so much we want to grow." Papa looked at Mama, and they both bowed. "Yes," they said. All right, so what is it that the community and the story wants? What do they want? Yes, they want to plant our garden. Very good. So, how can they help? They're going to help plant the garden. Very good. A garden grows. First, we had a meeting with the community. Everyone agreed to contribute. Some people brought seeds, tools, and dirt. Then the next day, we met and started our garden. Papa built long, open boxes. Next, we filled them with dirt. The tallest box went close to the back wall. The boxes got shorter and shorter. The shortest box was in the front. All the plants will get sunlight without making shade for the others, Mama said. So what does everybody agree to contribute? Okay, so they are all contributing some special tools that are necessary to make this garden. Yes, very good. So they're all going to bring something. Then we used round, flat stones to make a rock path. Papa said that in Japan, stones are an important part of a garden. Finally, we planted the seeds. Jill and I worked in the garden all summer. Our community grew many different vegetables. At the end of the summer, we picked enough to have a cookout. Mama brought a big pot of miso and vegetable stew. Everyone thanked Mama and Papa for their help. They brought a bit of Japan to Portland. I was so proud. All right, so what is it that Kiku's family is doing to help their new community? Awesome. So they are contributing their knowledge that they have learned from living in Japan to their new city of Portland, Oregon. All right, so now we're going to take another look at sequence, okay? So in this, we are going to look at what happens first, next, then, and finally. All right? So we'll go up here and we'll just write first. So what happens first in our story? Well, first, Kiko and her family moved to Portland, Oregon. Yeah, absolutely. Now, what happens after they move to Portland, Oregon? All right, so the family builds a garden in their new home, and Kiko's friend sees the garden. Now, what happens after Kiko's friend and her family see this garden? What happens next? Well, I guess we should write next up here. First, next, and now we have then. So then their family asks them to help build a garden for the community, right? So they want to contribute. And finally, they all work together to make a small Japanese garden in Portland, okay? So first, next, then finally. Good sequencing. All right, now let's take a look at our vocabulary. So let's review the words that we learned today. So we had admires, classmate, community, contribute, practicing, pronounce, scared, and tumbled. Now let's look at number one. We're going to have to choose the correct word. And after we choose the correct word, we're going to write it in a sentence. So number one, what is another word for afraid? Scared, very good. So let's use scared in a sentence. I could say, oh, I was very scared at Halloween. Ooh. Maybe there are way too many ghosts and goblins and witches, and it's just a little scary. Number two, what word can describe a friend who sits next to you at school? Well, this is a classmate. Very good. So I could say, my classmate and I are best friends. Number 3. What is another word for give? Answer? Contribute. Very good. So we're going to give something, we're going to contribute something. All right, so what could I contribute? All right. I contribute some money so my friends and I can eat pizza. Ooh. Maybe have you ever been at lunchtime and you want to order some takeout food and your friends and you share some money on WeChat so you can get some pizza for lunch? Number 4. What helps people get better at doing something? Answer? Practicing. Very good. Now, what is something that we could practice? Well, a lot of people in China play instruments, right? So I could say, I practice my instruments every day. Yes, you have to practice in order to get better and better. All right, next, moving on to vocabulary. So, just a little bit of a review from last week. A sentence is a group of words that expresses a complete thought, right? So one thought equals one sentence. Now, every subject or every sentence has 2 parts. One sentence has a subject and it has a predicate. Now, the subject is going to tell who or what the sentence is about. I ate food. I is the subject. Now, the predicate identifies what the subject does or is. So, I ate food. Ate food is going to be the predicate. All right? Now, a complete subject is all of the words in a subject, like New York City. New York City is 3 words, but it is a complete subject because it's just actually one thing. So let's take a look at number 1. We want to draw a line under the complete subject. So let's look at number 1. The pet store is busy on Saturday. So which words should I underline? The pet store. Very good. Number 2. People smile at the puppies and kittens. Which word should I underline? People. Number 3. The goldfish swim in a big tank. Which word should I underline? The goldfish. Number 4. Furry rabbits hop around. Which word should I underline? Yes, so furry rabbit is our complete subject. Number 5. A long snake coils in its cage. So which word is my complete subject? A long snake. Very good. All right, so remember, the subject of a sentence tells who or what the sentence is about. The complete subject is all of the words in a subject. Now, a complete subject can be one word, or it can be more than one word. It could also be a compound subject connected by and, okay? Me and Lisa. That is a complete subject. Me and Lisa go to the movies, okay? So let's look at number 1. We want to put a check mark like this if the sentence has a compound subject, okay? Now, also what we want to do is we want to write the complete subject on the line. So look at number 1. Jane and Leah rode their bikes to the park. Okay, so what is the complete subject? Jane and Leah. Is this a compound subject? Yes, it is. We have and, so we'll just put a little check mark. Number 2, Carlos and Shane were playing soccer. What is our complete subject? Carlos and Shane. Is this a compound subject? Yes, it is. Let's put a check. Number 3, the sun shone brightly. What is our complete subject? The sun. Is this a compound? No, it is not. Number 4, Coach Tate and Chris walked toward the field. What is our complete subject? Coach Tate and Chris. Is this a compound subject? Yes, it is, so let's put a check. Mrs. Chan sat on a bench reading. What is our complete subject? Mrs. Chan. And is this a compound subject? No, it is not a compound subject. Very good. Good job with grammar today, guys. Doing an awesome job. All right, so that takes us to our last page of our draft model. All right, so let's read what they have written for us. I went camping with my dad. I helped my dad put up our tent. We built a fire. We roasted hot dogs and marshmallows. We put out the fire and went to sleep in our tent. Now, we want to show some time order. So we want to show some sequencing, like first, next, then, after that. We also want to show like in the morning, in the afternoon, tomorrow, before. Okay, these are showing us when things happen. So number 1 says, when did the writer go camping? Well, we could have many different options. Maybe they go camping in the fall on a Saturday. What did the writer do first? Well, the first thing that they did was they put up a tent, right? That was the first thing that they did. Now, number 2. What words or words that show order would tell when the writer roasted marshmallows? Okay, so when did they roast marshmallows? Did they do it before they built the tent? No. Did they do it before they made the fire? No. So we could say they did it after they built the fire, right? After. What words would help signal what the writer did last? So what word clues us that it is the end, that it is the last thing they're going to do? I can think of 2. Well, we could say finally or lastly. All right, now let's mesh this all together. In the fall, on a Saturday afternoon, I went camping with my dad. First, I helped my dad put up our tent. Then, We built a fire. After that, we roasted hot dogs and marshmallows. Finally, we put out the fire and went to sleep in our tent. Very good. So here are all of the words that are going to show us time. Okay? See how that builds sequence in our writing. It helps the writer follow the timeline of the events in our story. All right, guys, that's the end of our lesson. Thanks so much for joining me, and I will see you next week. Practice your English. Bye.